Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors side, just reacting to the Toronto Raptors 128-113 win against the Memphis Grizzlies, Ryker. A lot of storylines came out of this one, and after sort of a dud after one of the biggest games of the seasons versus the Atlanta Hawks, the Raptors really bounced back and got honestly, a kind of a must-win game against the Grizzlies here tonight.
Ben, let's break down the storylines right away. There's a couple of exciting things, I guess, that have happened leading up to this evening's game and then during pretty early on. I'll let you break it down.
Yeah, so there's a lot of reports that came out today, and we'll be dropping videos over the next couple days, sort of really diving deep into those. But there's a report coming out saying that the Raptors are going to be willing to trade Kyle Lowry come this deadline, and there could be moves made surrounding our greatest Raptor of all time. So that was one report that came out, and we'll obviously have the full in-depth stuff coming in these videos. But we also, apparently the Raptors have gauged interest in Andre Drummond. Obviously, we've been on the hypotheticals regarding Andre Drummond for the past month now, and then now maybe Masai Ujiri's watching the videos or checking out Raptors Reddit, and he's put the Raptors name into the hat for getting Drummond. So those things were the news that sort of happened today coming into this game. And then in this one, Kyle Lowry played for the first 8 minutes, then was subbed out due to back spasms, and people are saying maybe he was subbed out because he thinks he's getting traded, but I think you and I are both of the mindset that he had back spasms. Clearly, he walked out the court in pain, so unless he's a very good actor, which we know he is at times, I don't know if they're necessarily correlated, and we want to get that sort of out of the way to start.
Yeah, you can't read into him leaving the game with injury. Lowry's injury prone, and he's had a history of lower back injury. So I wouldn't put these two items together. That being said, it is an interesting conversation around the amount or the number of reports that have been rumored today featuring Kyle Lowry's name. I think that everybody in Raptors land has been sort of calling for Lowry to be traded in one way or another, whether or not it's the polar opposite, you don't believe that he should, or that he absolutely should be traded. I think there's been a lot of chatter, but for actual league sources to now be putting his name out in the hat sort of on that rumor mill, I think that there's a little bit more meat now to this story, Ben. So that's pretty interesting. But this game in general, Nick Nurse, he took the 2 Ts. I'm going crazy on my couch, just getting frustrated. Nick Nurse overreacting to things that are, in my opinion, most often actual legitimate calls. And then plus in games that just have such low stakes, he keeps getting kicked out, booted. But this one, I don't know if it's because he got kicked out or the Raptors just finally clicked in against Memphis. They went on a huge run to close out the game, and a ton of guys were almost around 30 points. So this one must win, but it turned out to be a pretty good game in the fourth quarter, Ben.
Yeah, we brought up all the storylines. The refs have been another storyline regarding the Raptors that everyone's talking about, but this game overcame all of that, and the Raptors came out and got the W, and we're plugging it in all the videos now. Leave a like down below in the like section, as Riker calls it. It really helps out the channel, helps out us out, get bigger audience and stuff. So leave a like, subscribe, we'd really appreciate it. We haven't really plugged in all our time on YouTube, so that's been a huge help for us going forward. But leave a like for this game because the Raptors overcame all that, and the three-headed monster, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, and Norman Powell, they came out and almost scored 90 points, or over 90 points between them. 32 points for Siakam, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Norman Powell with 29 points, and Fred VanVleet with 32 and 9 assists. So with Lowry sort of going down early, our three next leading scorers, our three next guys you sort of expect to carry the load, really stepped up and took over this game to beat the Memphis Grizzlies, who were really fighting in this one.
Ben, I'm going to give the little shoulder shrug here. You don't want to see a player go down, especially of the stature of Kyle Lowry, but I've been preaching it to the rooftops over the past couple of games that I want to see Norman Powell plus Fred VanVleet as the 1 and 2, or sorry, Fred VanVleet obviously as the 1, Norman Powell as the 2, in the starting lineup. To me, that's the starting lineup that makes the most sense. It has been the most efficient. It gives you the most output. If Lowry is not injured, I still want to have him closing games. He's proven what he can do against the Brooklyn Nets in that amazing game that hopefully is foreshadowing for the playoffs to come. But in terms of just having the best starting lineup, I want Fred VanVleet and Norman Powell in tandem. And I think now there's going to be the opportunity to run with that. And look at what we saw. I mean, if I'm looking at the box score now, to be honest with you, Ben, Norman Powell, eye test, he played like he got 29 points. Fred VanVleet, he played like he was 32-9. But even Pascal Siakam, I didn't realize he had 32 points. They were kind of quiet. He shot a lot of threes tonight, but at a great percentage. I thought that he was maybe getting bullied a little bit on the inside by Memphis, who isn't the strongest defensive team in the NBA. But all around, these guys, if they're playing that well, they should be able to contend with the best teams in the NBA, Ben.
Yeah, and it's really nice, and I sort of brought it up on the Atlanta Hawks podcast, was Siakam, obviously, he's done a great job at really getting his game going, driving on the inside, getting in the lane and stuff, but when the playoffs come around, when teams really lock up and build that wall, he needs to be able to knock down that three, and obviously you don't want him relying on that, making that the only part of his game, but you want it to be a factor, and the fact that he was able to knock down 5 tonight, he only made a couple in the last one, but the fact that he went 5 for 8 is an encouraging sign going forward the rest of the season. Now, we don't want him to become reliant on those threes again. Obviously, he took 8 of his 18 shots from out there tonight, but I thought he had a good mix, and you mentioned the Memphis Grizzlies, while they're not the greatest of defensive teams, they do have a lot of big guys down there, like Jonas, Deng, and all these players, so it makes sense for why there'd be more open shots, more open looks from around the perimeter for him tonight. So I like the fact that he was able to make them pay for leaving them open out there. So hopefully that'll be something he can carry forward and make the defense keep him honest out there so he can get more of those drives, open up the lane a little bit more for him. So that's a positive sight to see. But you mentioned it, Norman Powell, as a starter, has been remarkable this season, and this is why even if Lowry and OG are healthy and they're back in the lineup, I think he should be starting regardless. But the 29 points for him tonight, 6 threes, he's just confident out there, and whether it's catching it on a swing, getting the open look, or having to do a little create off the dribble, he's hitting them from everywhere, he's slashing, he's trying to dunk everything. Norman Powell's been an all-around beast for this team, and Fred VanVleet as the point guard, I think we know how well he can shoot. We know how well he can put up points. But I think with the ball in his hands being the primary ball handler, he's setting players up more. Because when him and Lowry are in tandem on the court, it's more so Lowry facilitating everything and Fred being the more score-first point guard. And I think the 9 assists reflects tonight just Fred VanVleet playing more of that role and showing what he can do, sort of passing that ball and getting people open, and then that creates more for himself, more lanes and openings for him because people play him more as a passer than a shooter. So those 3 guys really came out and played well tonight, and it really set the tone for this game, specifically in the second half. And I know people, as well as yourself, are saying that Lowry should be moved to the bench. I think this can happen with this sort of 5-man unit, but with all the trades, there's going to be so much discussion regarding that. And I don't know. I see where people are coming from when they say Lowry should be moved to the bench.
Let me say 3 things. 1, let me say 4 things. 1, as Maddie loves to open. 2, Jack, there's nobody that loves to get his name called in the starting lineup more than Norman Powell. So whether he's at the 2 or the 3, I think we finally realized at this point that Norman Powell needs to be inserted in that starting lineup. So if Lowry's in there as well, or if Norm slips back into the 2 and OG comes back and is healthy, he needs to be there. Having Norm come off the bench for a random assortment of minutes just isn't sufficient. That's 1. Then 2, we need to reverse a little bit and park it at Jonas Valanciunas sort of recognition or praise. This man, he's got to go down as one of the Raptors' legends. I don't want to say GOATs because obviously his performance, his pick and roll defense, his perimeter defense was never incredible, but just in terms of a guy who represents Toronto Raptors culture, a person that all the fans could get behind, and then to go out. He had 0 points in his last outing against Toronto. It's been very few times. So it's only once that we've seen Jonas since, he's been traded. 27-20. So I just want to give him a round of applause tonight for a fantastic showing. He would be an improvement from Aaron Baines, Ben. I don't think that that's controversial to say. I think he would be an improvement over Aaron Baines this season. And
Riker,
you're laughing
that's
as
a
if you
hot
have a
take right now. Aaron Baines is...
clearly a very cold take with that reaction. And so my final 2 things. 1, Ben, is Lowry going to get moved? You've been saying it a couple times. And 2, I forget 4 things was too much to remember. So I'm just going to swing it back to you saying, is Lowry going to get moved?
is the question mark. And we'll see what happens. We'll see as more reports sort of dive through, and that's why we're saving that video for tomorrow. So I don't really want to dive into that too much, but I don't want it to happen. I don't know if you're in the same boat. I think that's all we can say before we sort of talk about the rest of the players. Would you like to see it happen, especially after seeing the guys play this well tonight? Assuming we get value in return, obviously.
Yeah. The issue is, would the Raptors have won that Brooklyn Nets game if Lowry didn't score virtually every single point in the fourth quarter? No, it's not going to happen, right? We find a way to pull out these wins, but I'm not impressed by winning in the fourth quarter against the Memphis Grizzlies, right? Trailing by 3 points to enter the fourth. So, you give credit where credit is due when three of your guys score 30 points, Norman Powell almost 30 points. But Lowry, to me, he's the closer. And unless you're getting a guy who can do that same thing in return, which I don't think his trade value is there, I don't see why you would move him.
Yeah, it's not a want for me. Will it happen? Maybe, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But before we dive into segments, Riker, there is a player that I want to sort of bring up, and you brought up JV, and obviously JV, I will call him one of the Raptors GOATs, even if it's not for performance, just the culture-wise. He'd be out there repping the team. When he got traded, he came back that season and watched our first game in the playoffs. In those 2016 playoffs, he was a great guy against early on versus the Heat. He was just one of those guys that you could always rely upon to do what he could do, and he'd be a fan favorite. So shout out JV. It was nice to see him have a big performance tonight. But one guy that's slowly becoming a fan favorite for the Raptors, Chris Boucher, the Canadian. He came out, and obviously with this thinner frame, he looked like a young boy next to Jonas Valanciunas, as JV makes most people look like when he stands next to them. But Chris Boucher really was outsized and outmatched for Jonas Valanciunas on the block, but he really hustled in this one, and particularly in the fourth quarter. Even though JV did get a couple of rebounds, I was really impressed with the fight that he put up and really sort of contain JV in terms of the offensive glass. Even though JV did get a couple and the Grizzlies did out-rebound us down there, I thought the Raptors, and led by Chris Boucher, did a good job at sort of having a collective effort to sort of lock down the board. So shout out Boucher. I thought he played solid tonight. Knocked down a couple threes, which has been a question mark over the past couple weeks for him, if he'd be able to knock those down. Made some nice plays down the stretch. And Riker, this is the type of game you want to see Boucher play well in, because it's not against a matchup he's sort of ideally suit for. The Atlanta Hawks, John Collins in the front court, Clint Capella is more of a thinner guy. Boucher, he's built for those games, and that's why he had such a remarkable performance in that one. But big men like Jonas Valanciunas, Embiid, or even Giannis down there bullying and stuff, these are the real tests for Chris Boucher, and I was impressed with how he performed tonight.
Or Dwight Howard, daddy. As I said in the last podcast that we talked about, tough matchups for Boucher. But I agree with you, Ben, and your assessment. Memphis Grizzlies, they're the 22nd offense, I believe, in the NBA. So it's not like it's an incredibly arduous defensive matchup that you have in facing these guys. But Boucher, I think he favors smaller bigs. That's where he's able to really display his arsenal. He has trouble in, like you said, in doing good post defense and really boxing out against these bigger bigs. But even though his offensive efficiency wasn't there tonight, he was getting his hand in the mix. He was playing. He's an impact player, Ben. And I think that what he demonstrated tonight was he can still provide value out there, even if he's not getting every box out. It's tough, if maybe the center was a little bit more dominant, say like an Embiid, because unlike JV, Embiid's 27 and 20 is probably going to contribute to a win. That's just probably statistically speaking, but I think Boucher's value goes up in this particular game, Ben.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a positive to see. And quickly, Bembry, Yuta, Stanley. Stanley didn't get too many minutes tonight, but Bembry and Yuta had some good hustle. Bembry had some good scoring. Classic games from them. 7 rebounds from Yuta. Positive sight. But Riker, let's swing it into the segments. And tonight, the spicy P-lay of the day. We were just talking about Chris Boucher. In the last podcast, I ran it solo. People were flaming me, Riker, because I missed a couple of Chris Boucher dunks for the spicy P-lay of the day. I'm going to keep it real. I was quite sick that night. Definitely feeling under the weather. Missed a lot of sort of important moments in that game, so I apologize for missing that there. But This one, I'm not missing it. Chris Boucher had a really nice dunk to sort of end off this game. It looked like one where he got high, tried to yam it down real hard, and sort of hit the back of the rim and slammed in. I think those are almost more ferocious. And Fred VanVleet came in and sort of jumped in the air to throw that pass. A little handoff to Boucher and dunked it down. That's my spicy Pele of the day. You have any others in mind, Riker?
That's a good one, Ben.
Yeah, I missed the Boucher dunks. I was not in the most focused of head states watching that game, the last one, so I apologize for missing those. But got them tonight. But not all plays can be the spicy Pele of the day, and some just make you say, "Oh, geez." And there's a definite one here tonight because Kyle Lowry was out, and Kyle Lowry has become known for those shots where he's trying to draw a foul or it's late in the clock and he throws it up just like that, And John Morant wanted to pay his respects to the slingshot over the head soccer shot legend, and he shot one of his tonight and knocked it down. So shout out to John Morant. I love the Memphis Grizzlies. I love all their players. I'm gonna keep it real, and I appreciate them paying their respects to Kyle Lowry.
Somebody's gonna have to find that clip and the clip of Lowry hitting it against the Wizards last season. I can't remember the team that he did that shot against this season, but one of those two shots. Find the John Morant of this evening, splice them together, DM them to us, and we'll probably toss it up because they're carbon copies of one another. That was a really funny shot, and you're right, it was literally the Lowry shot. So
it's a Lowry shot, paying his respects to the GOAT, the Raptors GOAT. But finally, the infamous, the one, the only DeMarre Carroll Gold Star Award. And do you have any ones in mind, Riker?
Yeah, Nick Nurse. That to me is the one that jumps off the page. Besides maybe Aaron Baines just not having a lot of points compared to the rest of the guys on the starting lineup. But again, Nick Nurse, this is a low stakes game. What are you doing getting 2 Ts?
He got the team motivated, Riker. He got the team motivated. After those T's happened, we went on a big run. We won this game. I don't know how. I think over 3/4 of the DeMarre Carroll Gold Stars awards this year have gone to Nick Nurse. I'm not letting him take this.
Adrian Griffin should be the new head coach then. Just keep Nick Nurse in the locker room for the remaining games this season.
Nick Nurse gets thrown out in the first 2 minutes of every game. The Raptors win every game by over 200 points. So that's just math. That's just how it's going to work out. But I don't know. Solid game for the Raptors tonight. Fun one. Nice one to watch, especially with everything going on in Raptors land. But we're going to be back, and we're going to be breaking down all of the news with videos coming out tomorrow, maybe tomorrow during the day. Depends how much stuff is happening. So definitely stay tuned. Stay subscribed to the Raptors Digest. Check all that stuff out. But you guys are the best to make this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all the cool stuff. Check out the website, because we got articles being posted, I think, multi-times a day. I think this weekend we had 5 go up. So lots of content, lots of cool stuff to check out. Read all that stuff over there. The TikTok, I'm making a couple TikToks tonight, so check those out. Hopefully those sort of bounce back. But Riker, you have any last words?
If the Raptors defeat the Celtics on Thursday, we're doing this live, Ben, so stay tuned for that. I mean, I don't know what the chances are, what the odds are. We'll see it on the Ride the Raptor on the Instagram, what all the odds are for the game. But anyways, lots of exciting stuff, Ben. Cheers.
Stay tuned for those live post-game reactions.